Grant was arrested and charged with 3 counts of premeditated murder. On him, they found a pair of leather gloves, a credit and debit card, which belonged to his father and brother, Cody. He also had his passport with him, which led investigators to believe that maybe he was going to try and flee, go see his girlfriend, Sylvie, There was also a handwritten note found in Grant's possession, signed from Cody. In the note, it pretty much said, "I'm sorry for what's going on and I'll take care of it. Don't worry." I'm not going to go too much into detail about what it said because it was later determined that it was written by Grant to kind of feed into the murder-suicide storyline that he was trying to create, which is pathetic because it was like his own brother. I'm like, so his trial was in July of 2019, and he still claimed that he was innocent. Grant's team suggested that maybe someone broke into the house. Maybe it was a drug deal gone bad because they had found a small amount of marijuana in the home. So they were like, oh yeah, they were dealing drugs. How many drugs? There was lots of drugs. Marijuana? Oh my God, drug deal? Like they just found that marijuana and was like, that's it, drug deal gone bad, Based off forensic evidence, it was determined that Margaret was shot in the head from behind as she sat at her desk. The last activity on Margaret's computer was at 4:44 p.m., so it's believed that this, kind of started at that time. Cody and Chad were not home yet when Grant shot his mother. Then Chad came home, his father, around 5:30 p.m. He went to the kitchen to put his stuff away, get dinner started. That's when Grant quietly approached him from behind and shot his father. And investigators knew this because on Chad's iPhone it was tracking all of his steps through one of those fitness apps, the step counters. So they could see how many steps Chad took and then when it stopped. Then Cody arrived home from work around 10 p.m. and he walked through the garage that connects to the house. He walked in the door and then that's when Grant just shot him. Then it said that Grant spent several hours at the home moving bodies around and staging it to look like, again, a murder-suicide. Remember how I mentioned that there were 4 bullet shell casings on the ground? And it was determined that the 4 bullets that were found did not come from any of the handguns that were found in the home. They came from an unknown weapon, and the gun that it came from was never found. Also, Chad, the father, had a gun holster on his right hip, and it was later proved that this was placed on him after his death. There was a spot of blood on Chad's pants under the holster, which wouldn't have been able to get there if he was indeed wearing the holster when he was shot. Around midnight, it was determined that Chad had logged into his banking app on his iPhone using the fingerprint reader on the night that he had died. Also, it was shown that money was transferred from Chad, his bank, to Grant's bank account through the app. Jesus, I know. When investigators looked at Chad's finger, they saw that it had been wiped clean, and it's believed that Grant cleaned his dead dad's finger, cleaned the finger, and then used it to log into his phone. What kind of special fucked up is that? When I read that, I was like, what the... That same night after murdering his whole family, Grant also used Cody, his brother's credit card to pay and watch Sylvie, sending her over $600 while sitting in his car in the grocery store parking lot at 3 a.m. So after he murdered his family, he drives to a grocery store parking lot, sits there and watches Sylvie. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's just unbelievable. So they had found gloves in Grant's possession at the time of his arrest, and they were taken in to be tested for gunpowder residue, which it came back positive. Grant said that's because he wore these gloves all the time when he shot, but numerous witnesses said that he rarely wore these gloves, like ever. On Grant's computer, a typed out letter was found by Grant to send to Sylvie and to some of his friends he made online. And this letter was typed 2 days before the murders. It's long, so I'll give you like a little summary. Pretty much Grant apologizes for lying about himself and confesses that he isn't successful and that he lives at home, that he lied because he wanted to stand out to Sylvie and like get her attention. Grant said that his family found out about the money spent and ambushed him, then forcefully made him go to a clinic for his unhealthy addiction to Sylvie and cam girls. He then goes on to say that everything his family mentioned to Sylvie was a lie to poison his image. He then says that he will never be able to forgive himself for making Sylvie sad and for betraying her trust in him. He begs for her forgiveness and asks for, quote, an actual second chance, end quote. Then going on to say that he will do whatever it takes to be able to show the real him. This letter is 8 pages long, just begging for forgiveness and how he will never get over Sylvie and how he never plans to replace her. And towards the end of the 8-page letter, he says, I can't give up on her and I never will. She is my everything. I will give her my life to simply be able to make her smile again. Dramatic much. The jury spent, I believe, like 8 hours, and they come back and give Grant his verdict. Mind you, he showed no emotion during the trial. Even when his older brother took the stand and just cried over his lost family, Grant just looked like a vampire. Like, he kind of looks like this creepy ass vampire, and he was just cold, balding, emotionless, fragile looking vampire. I don't know. It was just like so uncomfortable to watch. In the very beginning, in like the opening statements, I believe Grant started crying when they showed pictures of, the parents and his brother's bodies to the jury. And throughout the whole thing, though, just nothing. It was weird. But then I guess at one point they show the jury like a picture of Sylvie on this screen. And Grant, like his eyes are just kind of like fixated on Sylvie on the big screen. And it's just like, oh my God, dude, really? Like your whole family's dead and you're still obsessed with her? Yep.